Welcome back to the Tool World Podcast. I'm your host, David Ju, and I'm here with Master Ju.
How's it going there, Mr. Ju?
Yeah, it's going okay.
Nice, bright, sunny day.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's kind of cloudy, but
Overcast.
yeah.
California.
Yeah.
Wildfires.
Yeah.
Started wildfires.
Right. Anyways, this week we're going to be looking at, we're going to be discussing a little bit about can you compete at other organizations' tournaments? You have different styles of organizations, right? You have, like, if you have different ITF tournaments, and then you also have, like, open tournaments.
And mixed tournaments.
Oh, that's what the open tournament would be.
Okay, well, yeah, that's true.
So I guess the question is, let's start with the mixed tournaments, open tournaments. You have different styles there, right? Coming in.
yeah,
You have like
it's a-
WT, low karate.
Yeah,
So
like
is that okay?
I think that question can be kind of a little loaded, I think,
Okay.
in some ways. I think that when we look at like just competition and we're looking at how can I be better, compete. I definitely think so. We need to compete. When you want to look at like, from a self-defense point of view, I think you got to compete against other people just to get a different idea of what is going on, right? So if you stick with the same system organization from that point of view, you're limited. I think you're limited. You go to a tournament, if you've always gone to a tournament that was only point sparring, it's definitely different than, where you're doing continuous sparring. So it's different, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I think it's good experience. So competition is good, regardless of whether it's WT or ITF or karate or whatever. And if you lose, you lose. You just go, oh, okay. What could I do to be better? And it
Right.
doesn't mean that you're not good. It just means that under that current system, you are at a slight disadvantage.
Right.
And that's also true within your own organization, whether it's East Coast, West Coast, whether it's a shoot off of a different organization or whatever. You might do the same patterns, you might basically the same rules, but it can be a little bit different because people do certain things different.
Yeah.
And if you go to, let's say, we're on the West Coast, you go on the East Coast, and they're looking for something different. Or maybe sparring is not so much, but maybe the sparring is a little bit different just because maybe on the West Coast we're more of a finesse kind of a, that you see that in basketball. The West Coast tends to be more finesse versus East Coast, which is a little bit more physical. You probably would see that in Taekwondo as well. When you look at patterns, different organization for sure might look at it differently. Like
Right.
you see people do patterns, the same patterns, but maybe one is an independent. And you get, we talked about this before, that guy gets so bashed,
Yeah.
And we talked about it. Maybe it's not him. It's just
Yeah.
it's just the instructor. It's just the organization. It's just that.
Yeah.
And so I mentioned that went to Washington one time, and Master Kim asked me to do a pattern, and they're looking at you and like, what the heck are you doing? And I'm looking at them like, what the heck are you doing?
Right.
So
Yeah.
what's right or wrong?
Right.
So in that respect, competition is good. I mean, I know it's not quite answering all the questions, but what do you think so far?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. But let's go to same style. So let's say ITF.
Okay, yeah.
Can we do other ITF's tournaments? So we actually have, there's quite a few groups now,
Yeah.
right? And some are more lenient, and then some are like less lenient, right?
Yeah, so that's why I kind of said it was kind of a loaded question. I think if it's an open tournament,
So if I'm in President Choi Chung-hwa's tournament and it's open, we
Meaning-
say it's open, right? It's no to anybody.
right?
Then
I would say that it's not a sanctioned ITF event. That's what I would say.
yeah,
Is that okay? Yeah, I think it's okay in some degrees. I think when you get to a higher rank, it kind of questions that. That's why I kind of say this is kind of a loaded question, is that for most people who are just competing, let's just go back to that. I don't think it's a big a deal.
yeah,
But when you're starting to talk about
Like
instructors, or
schools.
if you hold positions, are you supporting another organization? Yes, you are. You know, maybe for the good of taekwondo, it might be okay.
Yeah.
So the question is, how does maybe your instructor, or maybe how does your organization feel about that? And I think a large part of that comes down to loyalty. If my instructor is okay with it, then he understands my loyalty, I think. He knows that if he asks me to do something, I would do it, not necessarily questioning the loyalty. But if maybe your instructor organization has doubts in
Yeah.
that loyalty,
Yeah.
then they might say, no, you cannot do that. And you know, it's fair. I'm not saying it's not fair. I
Right.
mean, we see that all the time, right? Not just in taekwondo, but it's even like regular consumer products.
Yeah.
Are you loyal to Apple, or are you loyal to Android?
Yeah.
Well, it's whatever works for you.
Right.
Right? I mean, I like Apple. It worked great for me. And I wish everybody else would have an Apple.
Okay. Yeah.
And you'll have the same thing
Yeah.
with the other side. And you can argue this and you can argue that. You know, maybe one day it's like, you know what? Apple is not satisfying my needs.
Yeah.
And I need to go to an Android. I mean, I don't know. It seemed like it'd be, I can't imagine that would happen. But it can happen.
It can happen.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what happened to that loyalty? I mean, shoot, we get loyalty questions all the time. I recently called T-Mobile. And it says, oh, thanks for your being a loyal member since 19 something, right? Or
Yeah.
Xfinity or something, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody wants that, right?
Right.
And to how important is it? I mean, we see that even within our own family unit, right? Hopefully the family unit's together, so you don't have that issue. But when you have a parent that, separates, you can see sometimes parents are like, no, you cannot go visit your dad, or no, you can't go visit your mom, or whatever, because they feel threatened about that loyalty or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I think that it would be depends on your situation, right? And depends on where you want to go. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, whether one's right
Yeah,
or
but
one's wrong.
if you want to have a better tournament in taekwondo.
Yeah, when we talk about tournaments, sure. You want to, but then again.
So yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be more beneficial to have singular group or open tournament than to keep it closed off? So I guess the fear is that, okay, if somebody's in the other organization, that they throw such a good tournament that people might switch, or they talk to people there. They go, oh, those guys are so good. And they go, okay, let me join this one. Oh, you guys do this. I guess that's kind of the
fear,
of it,
yeah.
right? Of like, oh, if I let him talk to that guy, well, he switched over because of that, right?
Right.
But the greater thing would be to have a bigger tournament, because that just benefits everybody.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that idea. I don't know if there's really a solid answer on this. It's not necessarily black and white.
Yeah.
I think that even like your own dojang, you want loyal students. You don't want them to go. You don't want them to go to the other school, right?
Yeah.
And if you go to a tournament and they go, you know what, that school's better.
Yeah.
I should go that way, right? And then you kind of like, but I want that loyalty. Where's your loyalty here? Right?
That you should be better, I guess.
That's right, exactly.
So
as we have to be better. If you don't want to lose anybody, we have to be better.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the case with these open tournaments. I mean, I think that might be a fear of that, where people like, oh, those guys that tournament was huge.
Yeah.
They got a lot of people going to that, or
Right.
those guys are really good.
Yeah.
And so then you go, well, we just got to be better. But you're right. It's good camaraderie. I mean, taekwondo's taekwondo, but you also have to decide what's best for you, I guess. Our loyalty is questioned sometimes,
Yeah.
and you have to make that decision that's right for you.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I'm a high enough rank to I'm not like master yet, so
I don't know if you
Yeah,
even
it's
have to
like-
be master.
yeah,
know?
they could, I mean,
It's not a
we've
master.
been going to other tournaments and it's
Well,
whatever.
I think from that perspective, it's good to see.
Well, I think if you play more of like a coach role, it's more about the students, right?
Right.
But then once you become a master, it's like, okay, the positions that you hold. And then that kind of questions
It's
the
not just
loyalty.
masters though, because you can have a lower rank that holds specific positions within an organization. I think that, I think that if the organization is okay with it, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But then you're always going to get that question, well, why do you want to do that? We have this. And you say, yeah, absolutely.
Depends if it's good or not.
Yeah, that's why I say you got to just sit back, do some self-reflection, and
Yeah.
go, what am I doing? Is it good enough? How can I be better?
Yeah.
Even if you are good enough, you got to go back and question that, I think.
Right. Anyways, thanks for jumping into another Tool World podcast. As always, don't forget to leave a like and don't forget to be safe.
Keep training.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Deck one.